Hello guys, I have another solo battle for you, this time in the E-75. So far I've only had videos with the Leopard 1. So a pretty heavy tier 10 battle, about half the team is 10s on both sides. Highway is an interesting map to play. Generally speaking, this is a side of the map that I prefer to get. It has a pretty clear advantage in town down to the south. So I'm going to bring my heavy tank down there and duke it out in the city with their heavy tanks. For those of you paying close attention to the videos, you'll notice that my crew for this tank is extremely green. I don't even have one full skill yet on it. And I'm simply using this tank to grind this crew. This is one of my favorite heavies to use in any tier. And it's not too expensive to run either. That's the reason I'm not grinding my crews with tier 10s, is because the repair costs on the 10s are so exorbitantly high that I could technically afford it, but I'd rather not. But I'd like to re-emphasize that the E-75 is an amazing tank, and I'm by no means an expert in heavy tanks, but I think it's a pretty wide general consensus that the E-75 is a solid heavy tank if there ever was one. Even with the relatively recent engine nerf that it received, they did compensate that with improved ground terrain resistance. So I can show that off. You can see that it turns extremely well for a tier 9 heavy tank of this size and weight. And it does even better with a decent crew. I'm going to peek out here and hit that KV-4's turret. An easy shot, providing RNG allowed it, and it did. That KV-4 was looking away, so I had a perfect shot on the side of his turret. Guaranteed pen. And I'm gonna do it again. Oh, or not. C100 here. Okay. So that E100 probably, looking at his stats, probably didn't know or wasn't thinking that you can shoot through the walls with AP. If he was using heat, it would have been a problem, but if he had AP loaded, he could have very easily hit one of my weak spots, so I was a little bit sloppy there. But thankfully, he didn't realize that, and he tried to shoot around the wall through the gate, and he could only see my side armor, which I had angled correctly, so that was a plus for me. This is one of the nice things I like about this tank, is that for the most part, with the exception of some of the tier 10 US tanks, you can pretty much pin any tier 10 with normal AP ammo. You don't need APCR. But I carry a lot with me just in case I run into the the E4s, the E5s, the E3s especially, and the occasional mouse. So their team's lost all of their tier 10 heavies except for one, which also happens to be the best player on their team. As a result, both teams have begun to camp pretty hard. So the enemy team will most likely make a push up north because they know they'll get stomped down south if they try anything. So I'm going to move up north and try and help out the team defend against anything they send. I might be able to get a shot on this guy. Yep. Partly luck at this distance with this gun. Okay, so there's a Tiger 2 on our base now. And I'll take my time to zero in. Took too much time. That JPZ got to him before I did. Ooh, got a lucky track on him. Wasn't quite aiming for it, but I hit his track anyway. I allowed my 183 buddy back here to essentially two-shot him after my first. And what I'm going to do, this KB4 has the right idea. They have two tanks at A6. And those two tanks do not have direct line of sight on anything going down the E-line due to the terrain at our base. So I'm going to use that to my advantage, come over to the left side of the bridge here, get down in the depression that the terrain creates, and try and get across this bridge. I'm going to take shots at the guys camping at their base first though, because that's an opportunity I don't want to miss. And I can tell that since I have those heavies up there spotting our guys inside our base, our guys aren't really taking any hits, which leads me to think that the enemy team does not have much on the E-line at all. Otherwise, it would be hitting our guys for more damage than they are. So they're probably still on the ABC line back there. No, I don't have a good enough shot on that Centurion to waste ammo, so there we go. Teammate killed him. And again, my crew is pretty bad, so I don't know when I'm spotted. I do not have Sixth Sense yet. And going up that little hill on this soft terrain, you can really tell that they removed the top engine for this tank. It's really prevalent there. Okay, and I was lit, obviously. That 183 just pummeled me. So I'm going to wait for my team to move up, because I cannot take another hit from anything that they've got. And I rushed that shot. I really shouldn't have. Yeah, whoever's pinging is absolutely correct that IS-4 should be ahead of us, and he's not. So if any of you guys play like that IS-4, Don't, please. Everybody hates people who play like that, especially when you're in a heavy tank. Okay. So our team's moving up on the one line that IS-4 is finally moving. Very well could be a bot. I'm not sure though. I'm certainly not going to be relying on him for anything at all. I won't have any shots on that 268. I don't think. Oh, I have a small shot that I missed. Wasn't expecting much with that. There's the E4 up. Have another side shot on him as well. And it bounced. So he must be looking at that 155 to bounce that. Ooh. Great shot by the E100. Right into the back of that E4. Must have been. I'm going to go down here along the water. This way, if any of their TDs try and go for me, they have to expose themselves to everybody else on my team before they shoot at me. That way, even if I die, I at least give my teammates a chance to deal damage to them. I don't do what most players I see do and just rush in without forethought, die, and their team doesn't benefit from it at all. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If you know you're gonna die or you think you're gonna die, plan ahead. You know, die if it's the only thing you can do. Die in a way that will help your team at least, if possible. Alright, so that was a pretty easy game. Took a snapshot there on that arty. I wanted to make sure that I had a chance to get him before my teammates shot at him, so I did snapshot that. So a pretty straightforward game. Nothing too intense or amazing went on that one. It would have been a lot easier if our IS-4 had participated in a proactive manner. Instead, he sat in the base for most of the game. So about 4k damage with the E-75, not bad at all on a tier 10 game. Hit 3/4 of my shots, 9 out of 12. 2,000 spotting damage. Now, I'm guessing roughly half of that 2,000 spotting damage is from me tracking enemy tanks, that STI for example. And I took about 2,100 potential damage, which is about normal, nothing amazing about that. Trying to figure out what our mouse was doing. Now, the gun on the mouse is not that great, but he was probably sitting out in the open and letting TDs snipe at him, so that's why he didn't do much. Alright, well, as always, I appreciate your comments and questions down below, and thank you for watching.